space I'm about to take on. Get on my way, yeah, the frequency been way up, way up. Get on my way, it's too easy, it's a layup, layup. Get on my way, I need space to get the fake off. Get on my way, I need space I'm about to take on. Get on my way, yeah, the frequency been way up, way up. Get on my way, it's too easy, it's a layup, layup. Get on my way. Get on my way. Get on my way.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Kickin' It with Kenz. Today I have one of my coaches with me, Jordan Walker. Jordan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you for joining me on this episode today.
Thank you for having me.
So first things first, I want to talk about, obviously you're now a coach, but I want to take it back a couple years, back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So you started off by playing basketball. Now, one thing that's interesting about you is your mom and your dad both played, and they didn't just play; they were good athletes too at their college. So growing up, what was that like when having? Some people just have one parent, or some people have no parents that play, but like to have two basically coaches on you all the time, all day, every day. What was that like growing up?
You know, growing up like in a basketball family, like everybody's played basketball, even like my grandpa, all of that. Everybody's played. It was fun just because like you always have that competition within the house, but like as a player, being a player and having your mom and dad that both played, you can always go to them like post game and like they know what they're talking about. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna listen to my dad. So, you know, if there's anything, especially my dad, like, you know, being a point guard, being a guard, he helped me out a lot with that. My mom, you know, she was a power forward, she was a rebounder. She gonna get on me if I say she wasn't a guard, but you know, she was down there banging. But my dad was more of the guard, so just being able to bounce ideas off of him and learn the game from him, that was pretty special. Yeah,
you say, you know, everybody in your house played, even your siblings. Your brother played at Purdue, correct?
Purdue, Fort Wayne, yeah.
Fort Wayne, and your sister also played.
Yeah.
So I also had a sibling too growing up that played. It played a different sport, but it's still competition at the end. It doesn't matter, it's a competition. So what's that dynamic like when all three of you play basketball? Constant competition.
Constant. Like you're always trying to be, okay, how can I be the best at this? How can I be the best at this? Or like my sister, she was a really good rebounder. And so I'm like, okay, I need to be good at rebounding because she's good at rebounding. So, and she kind of set the stone, like, I guess set the path for me, like with basketball, because where I'm from, it's a small town in West Michigan. It's not I guess you wouldn't say it's known for women's basketball. So when she was coming up, it kind of, you know, set that path where people were like looking at West Michigan. So then when I came through, it was like, oh, okay, well, her sister was here, and then now she's coming up behind her. So it kind of, I guess, just brought more attention to West Michigan and girls basketball. And then with my brother, he's one of the hardest working people that I know.
Yeah.
Like he is in there day in and day out. And so watching him, I'm like, I'm not gonna let him outwork me.
Right.
He's like, oh, you wanna get some shots up? You wanna go? I'm like, yeah, let's like, you know, so he definitely pushed me in every aspect, like to continue to better my game.
Right.
Because he has fallen in love with like the process of perfecting your craft. And so I've learned a lot, even being older, like from him. And I wish, you know, we had more time, or I had more time to continue to perfect my craft, like growing up, but he definitely pushed me a lot.
And you mentioned that you're from West Michigan, and you also were named Miss Basketball in Michigan in high school. So transitioning to that, you decided to stay home for college. Your freshman year, you go to Western Michigan University. You, as a freshman, averaged 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. That's a rare stat line for a freshman coming in and playing. So what was your mindset going into freshman year? As you know, it's hard. Freshman year is hard. It's the hardest year. Yeah. So having that stat line and having, you know, your coach has confidence in you clearly. So what was that like your freshman year?
Yeah, so my freshman year, it was honestly really fun because my sister was also playing with me at Western Michigan. So going in, I don't know if I had like a specific mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna go in and do this and do this. I just knew I wanted to play. So it was like whatever I can do to stay on the court and play and get some minutes, that's what I'm gonna do. But I also did have I guess like a chip, like, you know, I'm the best player in Michigan. Like that was, I won't say that was my mindset or, you know, like I kept it with me all the time, but like I always kept coming back to that.
It motivated you.
Yeah, like you could play, like you can come out here and, you know, contribute to this team. And so that's something that I kept with me.
So going into your sophomore year, you had an injury. it's you redshirted your sophomore year. An injury is not easy to come back to and play again. So you have a whole year off and you come back your sophomore year. People talk about how physically demanding it is. How mentally demanding and like hard is it on somebody coming off a year off of basketball then trying to jump back into it?
So this was actually my second ACL tear, and the first one mentally and physically put me through the ringer.
Right.
But came back stronger from that, and then won Miss Basketball. So that in itself was like, okay, you can come back, you can bounce back, and you're able to compete at the college level. And then to do it again, I was like, dang, like, is this, this is my life right now. And so I'm not gonna lie, it was a time where I was like, come on, like, is this really what I'm doing? But I will say that is the hardest that I've ever worked. Like at Western Michigan in the summer. So when it happened, it was like spring workouts. I guess that's when it first happened. And then I didn't get an MRI and just didn't pay too much mind to it. And probably was me being like, no, I'm not hurt. I'm good. Right. And so, I was working hard that summer, and I was up for 6 a.m. lifts, like going to get my shots up, going to work, coming back after work, getting my shots up. Like that was the hardest that I ever had worked. And then the first day of like our open gyms and practices when we came back, first play, tore it. Like it was, I knew at that point, I'm like, yeah, it's over. So then after that, I was, sidelined the whole year, but it gave me time to like mentally get myself together, get my school knocked out. I finished like my credits, and I was basically ready to graduate after that year. So it was like, okay. But then like playing wise, it was hard mentally, like being on the sidelines, because I'd never been on the sideline for a whole season. Like for my ACL, when the first time it happened, it was in the summer. So then when I came back, it was like, okay, well, season's, ramping up, like I'm good by December. But this is the first time I'd been out like the whole entire year. So I really just took that time to learn a lot about myself and push myself in ways that I hadn't been able to before. So mentally, like getting up and going to my rehab, doing extra, like just trying to figure out ways to push myself so that when it came time to like, okay, you can play again, I was going to be at my best self. And
I think working hard is an understatement because following an ACL tear, your following year, your redshirt sophomore year, you come in, you average 16 and 6 while averaging 33 minutes a game. Yeah. So what was that like after coming back from an injury? You're freshman, you're still getting used to things, then you have a whole year off, then you get thrown in there. You obviously worked hard enough to do it. You 33 minutes a game as a sophomore. Yeah, what was that like?
I loved it. I was like, you know what, I'm not taking another minute. I do not want to be on the sideline again. So you know what, every single minute I'm out there, I'm giving it everything that I have. Like that's literally what my mindset was. And going through that and being able to play again, like being out, like I knew I loved the game, but being out, I'm like, man, I really can't play. Like, and I physically could not. And so it just made me find like a deeper love for the game. So then when I came back, it was just that times 1,000. Like I was like, I'm not taking another play for granted. I don't care what I got to do. If I'm gonna dive on the ball, like I'm just doing anything and everything that I could. So.
And I think you held up to that because you led the team in minutes, scoring, field goals made, 3-point fields, goals made, and steals, and second in rebounding. Now, you mentioned earlier your mom was a fat forward, loved the rebounding game. And one thing that keeps popping up with you is your 5'8" guard, a little stretch.
I am 5'8".
A little stretch. But, I mean, you don't see a guard rebounding like you did in your college career. How did you go about that in your game?
Yeah, so other than my mom and, like, my sister watching them and being able to learn from them on how they did it, it just was, like, hard. Like, kind of like I said, I wasn't going to take a play for granted. And so I knew at the end of the day, like, and at the end of the play, if I want the ball, I got to go get it. And so the only person stopping me was really me because, somebody maybe try to box me out, but I can swim around and go get the ball. So rebounding just was like, I guess, another piece of my game that nobody could take from me. Like, I knew I can control that, so I'm going to go do it.
Now, you finished 3 years really, at Western Michigan. You entered the transfer portal. Then you end up good old Tennessee, where I'm from. Yeah. What was your decision going into that? Why did you transfer, or what parts played into going up and stepping up to another level?
So going into college, I don't know why I set this goal, but I knew I wanted to graduate in 3 years. It wasn't like to transfer or do anything like that. Wasn't even, I guess, I mean, it was a thing, but it wasn't like in my mind, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go graduate to transfer. But I knew I just wanted to graduate in 3 years. So with my ACL and being sidelined, like I said, it allowed me to focus on school. So I got a lot of credits. Like my last semester, I think was 21 credit hours. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna graduate in this 3-year time span. But going into the portal, honestly, I stepped out on faith because when I did it, it was like late June, like almost early July. And at that point, like people were, and it was COVID too. So like that in itself was like, maybe you shouldn't do this. And then I also saw like people going back to school and like doing their workouts with whatever like the COVID protocols were for different schools. Like Tennessee, they had the girls back on campus and they were working out. So when I got into the portal, I was like, well, I don't know what's gonna come out of this, but you know what? I'm gonna step out on faith and I'm gonna trust God and just do it. Like I didn't have a terrible experience at Western, and it wasn't like I just wanted to leave, but I knew that, you know, with my game, I wanted to continue to push myself. And so being able to play at like a Power 5 or on those big stages, that was always a dream of mine. So I was like, you know what, if I have a opportunity, let's do it. Like, let's take it.
Right. And like I said, you didn't just transfer to another school. You transferred to University of Tennessee in Knoxville, which, you know, one of the only schools, very few schools are known for their women's basketball program. And so what was that like going into a school that's like, your sport is one of the main focuses and what everybody loves about the school?
Right.
What's that like going into that?
Yeah, so going to Tennessee, honestly, like I said, it was a dream come true. Like I remember as a little girl watching them on TV and being like, I wish I could play on that stage one day. Like I wish I could get there. And so it was funny because they were one of the last schools that like came in to recruit me during that time. And I was like, wait, this is like the University of Tennessee? Like Lady Vols, Pat Summer? And so when I got the opportunity and I was talking to them, I'm like, it's a no-brainer. Like their program is really good. The legacy that they have, like everything that they stand for, they're known for women's basketball. So everything that they brought to the table, it was like, this is perfect with what I want to do. As well as like the school aspect, they have a top MBA program. And so it's funny because going through that process, everybody's like, oh, we have a top MBA program. And when I did my research, I'm like, no, the University of Tennessee actually does. So, but yeah, going to Tennessee and the way that women's basketball, like, I won't say ran the community, but like, if you were Lady Vol, you were known. And, you know, people see you on the court, they see you in the community, like the way that their community supports Lady Vols and the way that the nation women's basketball supports Lady Vols. It was something truly special. And I wish everybody could experience that, but it was really special. And I guess that's the best way to put it.
And we speak about big jumps, and you go from the Mid-American Conference to now you're in the SEC. What's the challenges going to that? Now you're playing big time schools, big time players that are just as good, if not better than you.
Right.
What was the difference like between those two?
Bigger, faster, stronger. Like it just was like you said, there's girls out there that are faster than me, that are stronger than me, that are much bigger than me. My 5'8". In some games, but you know what? Again, it was a time, I guess, in the 3 years that pushed me and pushed my game, like continued to elevate my game so that I could go and play.
Now, your redshirt senior year, you were only one of 3 players to start all 34 games. What was that like as a senior, and, you know, having coach have that much confidence in you to know, how do you prepare your teammates knowing that you're going to be the first one to step out on the floor every single game? And what do you say to your team to keep them going, and how do you start off a game?
So I think the best part about that, that I don't know if you see like from a coach's aspect, like coach player, but I would describe my game like how I am on the court is just really calm, cool, and collected. I don't go here and I don't really go here. It's just like, well, I do in my head. It's here on the outside. So I think that growing into like being a vocal leader, before I was that, I was more like the emotional leader. Like, you know what, we're gonna come out here, we're gonna do what we have to do. But the way that I helped my team was just staying at like even keel, like not getting too high or not getting too low. And so I really felt like that helped set the tone for my team. And obviously, I mean, I was hyping it up like,
Right.
we about to go out here, we do this.
Yeah.
But, when I was out there, I felt like I always was that point in that person that they could look at and be like, you know what, it doesn't matter what the score is right now, we're here. Like, we're going to continue to go here.
Right. So we are both fortunate in the aspect where we got COVID years, where we you decide to take your 5th year at UT. So knowing how we get extra opportunities, you got an extra opportunity to play another year of college basketball, and you have another year to play at Tennessee. Yeah. What was your mindset going into your 5th year? This is your last year. It's go big or go home.
Yeah. My mindset going into that year was just like, I'm going to do anything and everything I need to do for my team to win a national championship and to compete for a national championship.
Right.
I mean, as a collective, that was all of our mindsets, but like, especially for me being in my last year, being the oldest one on the team, like having been there 3 years and knowing where we were, where we went and where we can go. Like, I felt like it was on me to continue to push my team day in and day out to get to that level.
So you mentioned like fighting for a national championship, and your 5th year you go to the Sweet 16. As a college athlete, it is very rare for college athletes to experience the NCAA March Madness alone. Yeah. So what was that like as someone who has been there multiple years, been through the tournament, but making it to the Sweet 16 is a really big deal. A lot of people don't even make the tournament. Yeah. So talk to people about what's the tournament like? How is it mentally, physically? What's the highs and lows of March Madness?
Yeah, March Madness, it is special. Like Coach was saying yesterday in the locker room, it's worth it. Everything is worth it. Like every single thing that you do and that you put in now, conference time, conference tournament, it is worth it. Like, it is something, like I said, I wish everybody could experience that, but I wouldn't say it's madness. I mean, there is a lot of madness that goes on with all the upsets and stuff, but it is a great feeling. I really can't even describe the feeling, but to get there and to go play is something that's really special. But honestly, playing wise, it's like every play matters. Every single play matters, because all these teams that you're playing against, they're good and they want to move forward too. So like, it comes down to possessions a lot of the time, and you can't take one off. Right. You cannot okay, no, I'm gonna slack on this one. Like, no, because this team, they're trying to score and they're trying to do this, and if they go up, then it's a whole different game. Right. And just the atmosphere, especially because we got to host, so our Lady Vol fans could come and support us. So that was really cool, just because we had that home feeling, even though it technically wasn't home at the time, but. When they got to come and support us and push us on and cheer us on, that made it even more special.
So your story with basketball doesn't end though, which I think is very interesting, because I feel as if you have a different story than most people. You come straight off the court, straight into coaching. Yeah. Did you always know you wanted to be a coach, or were you wavering for a minute? Maybe I should go play some more. Maybe I should, take my master's, go start a business of my own, a hair salon. That's what I've heard. Or was it just a no-brainer? I want to continue in this field.
Yeah. So honestly, throughout college, I changed what I wanted to do a few times. When I got to Tennessee, like you said, the salon, that was, and that still is something that I do want to do. But my second to last year, all my senior years, I just call them my senior years, but my second to last senior year, I went to the So You Want to Be a Coach program. Yes. And a little bit before that, I was like, you know what, I think I want to do this, because I had an assistant coach at Western Michigan who really pushed me, when I was out with my ACL, and I never got to play for her, but she was there the year that I was rehabbing back. Right. And just the way that she supported me through that whole thing, she was there every single day. It didn't matter if I was walking around the track, she was there with me, walking around, or when I could come back to playing, she was like, okay, let's get some ball handling. What can you do? How can I make you better? And it went further, than just basketball. It was off the court. How can I continue to help you throughout life? And so that really stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to be that person for somebody. And so when I went to thinking about it, and then when I went to the program, it was okay, this is really what I want to do. And then later on, the following year, I was like, you know what, I think I want to do leadership development, just some type of off the court player development, like for athletes, because it is a big jump, like going from being a college athlete to the real world. Like even now I see, even though I'm still in college athletics, it's different. Like you're not, playing, and sometimes people have different challenges that they go through, but I'm like, how can I help best prepare you for that?
Right.
And so that was like something that went across my mind. And then when I was talking to Coach Gardner and this opportunity came, I'm like, okay, you know what? I can kind of mix both of those in. Like I can be the coach that helps you beyond basketball in your life. And then I can also help you like now with some leadership development and then development to get you ready for the real world.
Yeah.
And so it kind of was the best of both worlds. So it was like a no-brainer, like this is what I want to do right now. And the way that it happened, I knew that God had called me to be in this space for this season too.
So you come straight off the court, back to the court, but in a different view.
Yeah.
So as you've been coaching now for a couple months, what is the first thing that you started to struggle with that you knew that was harder than what you expected it to be?
I would say the first thing that I guess came across is just trying to figure out how, I don't know how to like say it in the, I guess the nicest way, but the most genuine way is like trying to figure out how to get players' mindsets to shift.
Yes.
Because I feel like that takes a long time. Like with my mindset when I played, it didn't just come like that. Like it took me a while. And so it's like, how can I get this to change and to grow for the better in like the shortest amount of time possible? And so what I figured now is like it's just gonna be a learning process for me, but as well as like for the players. And so trying to help and develop those mindsets is probably the biggest challenge. But with this team, it's not like I gotta dig and be like, like we have some good girls and we have great mindsets, but then we also have some that it's like, okay, let's grow this and let's fix this and let's continue to develop this.
Now, as a former player and now as a coach, what's one thing that you wish you could tell your old self if you could go back and be like, man, coach is just trying to talk to you? Like, what's one thing?
You know what? I wasn't really like the one to give much like backlash or like, if the coach said something to me, I was like, okay, I got you. Like, But now I would probably just tell myself like, even those thoughts where I'm like, why? Like, don't even think about that. They're literally just trying to help you. Like, and so
like, why are we doing this?
Like, I would be like, you know what? Okay, I got you. Like, this is for the better. So, I mean, I think that's one thing I would tell myself. I probably wanted to say it too often, but it's just understanding that like coaches are literally just trying to help you, just trying to help grow you. And so, and I would say just to be more appreciative. Like, I didn't realize like all that they do. And so now I'm seeing it, I'm like, you know what, coach? Like, I would talk to my old coach, I'm like, I'm 1,000 times more grateful. Because I had no idea, but like, they literally do so much. So I would just be more appreciative for like all the little efforts that they give.
And a few more questions. Like, I think it's a benefit to us because you're so young and you're just off the court. I feel like we relate to you a lot more. Do you think the age helps when you're coaching college girls when you're only a couple years older than them? Do you think it helps, or like it could hurt sometimes because you're so close in age?
I think it helps for sure. And I think that's another thing that kind of drew me to want to be in this position is that like I can relate to you, because literally last year I was getting ready for a game this time. And now it's like I'm getting y'all ready for games. And so trying to help you and like, not come from do this, but like I literally was just there. So like I can relate to what you're going through for the most part, and like kind of where your minds are at and what you're thinking like throughout the season. Like I can continue to help you. So I think that's something that with the age aspect that does help me.
Well, thank you so much, Coach Joe, for sitting here and let me ask you some questions.
Okay.
Anything else you would like to say to the audience?
I would just like to say that Mackenzie Johnson is amazing, and I cannot wait to see you on the sidelines. I can't wait to see you do everything that you want to do, because I really, truly believe that you can do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys again for watching another episode of Kickin' with Kenz. I'll see y'all next time.